Explain why governments started to regulate working conditions. Industrialization in Britain from the late 18th century created appalling working conditions in factories and mines, which eventually forced successive governments to abandon their commitment to laissez-faire and introduce regulatory legislation. While humanitarian concern and fear of social unrest played a role, the most important reasons were the growing awareness of the human cost of unchecked industrialization, pressure from reformers and the working classes, and the pragmatic recognition that some degree of state intervention was necessary for economic efficiency and social stability. This essay argues that governments began to regulate working conditions, primarily because the scale of exploitation and suffering became politically and socially unsustainable, rather than from any sudden conversion to interventionist ideology. The most powerful driver for regulation was the shocking evidence of the physical suffering of factory workers, especially children. The rapid expansion of the factory system after 1780s led to widespread employment of children as young as 5 or 6, working 12-16 hours a day in dangerous conditions. Parliamentary inquiries, such as the Sadler Committee 1831-32 and the Factory Commission 1833, revealed horrific accounts of deformity, disease, and exhaustion. Michael Sadler's report described children being beaten, chained to machines, and suffering from stunted growth and respiratory diseases. These revelations shocked public opinion and created moral pressure on Parliament. Humanitarian reformers such as Lord Ashley, later Lord Shaftesbury, and Robert Owen used this evidence to campaign for legislation. The Factory Act of 1833, which limited the working day for children and introduced factory inspectors, was a direct response to this humanitarian outrage. A second important factor was the growing fear of social unrest and revolution. The Luddite riots 1811-16, the Peterloo Massacre 1819, and the Captain Swing riots 1830 demonstrated that the working classes were increasingly willing to protest against their conditions. Governments feared that unchecked exploitation would radicalize the labor force and threaten political stability, especially after the French Revolution of 1789 and the European revolutions of 1830 and 1848. The Chartist movement, 1838-48, further highlighted the link between poor working conditions and demands for political reform. Successive governments therefore introduced limited regulation partly as a safety valve to reduce discontent and prevent more serious upheaval. Economic arguments also played a role in persuading governments to act. Some factory owners and economists began to realize that excessively long hours and poor conditions actually reduced efficiency and productivity. Workers who were exhausted or ill were less productive, and high turnover increased training costs. The Factory Act of 1847, the 10 Hours Act, which limited the working day for women and young persons to 10 hours, was supported by some industrialists who believed it would improve output. In addition, the growing influence of the condition of England question in the 1840s, highlighted by writers such as Thomas Carlyle and Friedrich Engels, made it increasingly difficult for governments to ignore the social consequences of industrialization. However, it is important to note that government intervention remained limited and gradual. The dominant ideology of laissez-faire meant that most politicians were reluctant to interfere in the free labor market. Early factory acts were often poorly enforced and contained many loopholes. Significant progress only occurred when humanitarian pressure combined with fear of unrest and pragmatic economic arguments. The Mines Act of 1842 and the 10 Hours Act of 1847 marked important steps, but full regulation of adult male working hours was not achieved until the late 19th century. In conclusion, governments began to regulate working conditions because the human suffering caused by industrialization became impossible to ignore, and because failure to act risked serious social and political instability. Humanitarian pressure, fear of revolution, and growing recognition of the economic disadvantages of exploitation were the main driving forces. While the pace of reform was slow and limited by laissez-faire beliefs, the period 1833-1847 saw the first significant breach in the principle of non-intervention, laying the foundations for the gradual development of the regulatory state in Britain.